you getting on? So we've been talking about anxiety. We've been doing loads of stuff. If you've got any problems, if you've got any questions, don't forget to ping me an email, put it in your journal, in the Coach Accountable system, and ask away, ask questions. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how you're feeling. It's all good. I'll be here on the other end of it, and I'll reply as soon as I physically can. Now, this whole system's put in place for you to be able to kick ass on anxiety and stress. And I'm here for you all the way through it. So don't hesitate at any time to get in touch. Okay. Now, I hope you're finding your way around now. It's still early days in the course. It does take a little bit of practice, does take a little bit of getting used to. Should be getting all your text and email reminders on things as well. And don't stress over it. If any chance, any stage you're finding it's getting a bit too much, you need a break, you need a pause, just let me know and we can pause the course for you. Although it is a 6-week course, we can pause at any time and it just basically stops running until you're ready to pick it up again. Okay, so don't ever feel like you're tied into it into such a degree that you can't get away from it. Okay, so you can drop it, pick it up anytime you need to. Just get in touch, let me know, and we can sort it out from there. Okay, so what I'd just like to talk about first of all is the lovely question that you get on a regular basis is, how are you? And the normal response that we come back with, I'm fine. How are you? Now, it's very easy to just slip into that mentality, just to be an automatic response to a question that we hear several times during the day, especially during the workplace. People that we don't necessarily know very well, they ask us how we are and we just respond with, I'm fine, how are you? And then you just walk past each other. You know, no one actually replies with an honest answer. But what I'd like to challenge you with is, over the next couple of weeks, is if a family or close friend asks you how you are, be honest and tell them. Okay, be honest and tell them. Now, it might be at the moment you're thinking, well, I'm not fine, but I don't really know why. I know I'm anxious, but I don't know what I'm anxious about. Or I know I'm stressed, but I don't know why. So it's very hard sometimes to actually answer honestly because you don't know yourself. So this brings us on nicely into the action circle worksheet that we're going to be working through today. Now, I've got an electronic copy, which I've done as an example, which I'm going to do a screen share in a minute first. So just bear with me while we do the screen share. Technology is amazing. And here we go. So what you should see now is a lovely sheet filled out with nice typed up writing. For you, I would, and for me personally, if I'm ever going to fill this out, I print it off and write it. And it hangs around nearby throughout the day, ready for me to write on it if something else pops into my head that, oh, I didn't realize I was worried about that. Why has that popped into my head? So I'll write it on the sheet. Now, it's a very, very simplistic way of just focusing your attention on the things that you can do something about and the things you can't do anything about. So self-explanatory. The center circle is everything in the middle that you put in is something that you can actually take action with. Okay. The outer circle, and even stuff further out of the circle, if you want to put it out there, is all the stuff that there's no point worrying about it because you can't do anything about it. You have no control over. Okay. Now I've just dotted some things here and I've done it on the computer so I can share it on the screen just for ease for you to read rather than trying to decipher my wonderfully doctor type handwriting is my best description, I think. Okay. So top of the circle, I've got a what if. What if we, with anxiety and stress, we quite often, what if such and such? What if I did that instead? Or what if this happens? It can be both past and future tense in this one. You know, what if I'd said such and such instead? Would that have led to a different result? What if I did this instead of that? Okay. So it's a what if question, which is totally irrelevant. Nothing you can do about it. It's either in the past, it's gone, forget about it, or it's in the future that hasn't been decided yet, that we know nothing about. Okay, because we just don't know what's going to happen in the future. We can make some good guesses, we can estimate, we can even prepare for it, but we seriously don't know what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so what if is a nice big one at the top there. All right, if we jump straight into the center, then something we can do something about, and something a lot of people complain about, is not having enough time. Now, if I was to say to you that every day I like to listen to an audio book for 15-20 minutes, I like to do a workout every morning. May not look like it, but I do. It keeps my heart going. And I like to do some meditation for 15-20 minutes every day. And I've got to fit all that routine. That's at least an hour of my day gone. Okay. But by planning and preparing the whole day, I can make sure I can find time to do the things that I like to do that are good for my own physical and mental health. All right. And you can do exactly the same. And the next video is going to be all about planning. All right. So don't worry too much about how to plan or why to plan or anything else. That's covered in the next video. Okay. But not having enough time is something a lot of people complain about, but that is something we can definitely do something about. All right. Another thing in the center circle is sleep. I had a client not so long ago, actually, who was complaining that she wasn't getting enough sleep. She was only sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night. I suggested to her that she downloaded an app for her phone. She actually had a Fitbit, so she could tie it in with that as well, but she just wasn't using it at the time. And she suddenly realized after a couple of days of monitoring her sleep that she was actually sleeping 4.5, 5 hours a night. But because she was waking up periodically, she just felt like she wasn't sleeping at all. So all of a sudden, the stress and the anxiety just dropped away because she suddenly realized actually she's getting enough sleep to survive, to be able to perform adequately at work and everything else, and not just to fall apart. And all of a sudden she stopped worrying about her sleep, and funnily enough, she started sleeping better. She wasn't going to bed stressed about it. All right. So there are lots of things we can do about sleep, and it's certainly a subject that I'm going to cover later on in the course. Okay. So other things that might pop into your head. Now, this sheet is going to be totally for you. You can write whatever comes into your head. Inner circle, outer circle, outside the circle, cross the lines if you're not sure whether you can do something about it or not. Now, one of the things I've got in the top right-hand corner here is COVID-19. Now, to be quite honest, there's not a lot we can do about COVID-19 itself, okay? But there are precautions we can take, whether that means you wear a mask, whether you believe you should or not, whether you clean your hands regularly, you know, listening to whatever advice you prefer to listen to, and you can take action in that respect. But at the end of the day, the disease itself, there's not a lot you can do about it. We've got to live with it. We've got to get on with it. And we've just got to manage it and do our best we can. All right. But by stressing and worrying about it, you're just going to make yourself ill. You're just not going to do yourself any favors at all. So that one, although it's crossing the line, pretty much for me, I just accept it for what it is and move on. Okay, other things you got, again, on the right hand side here, election results. Okay, doesn't matter what country it is, whatever, you know, once the results happened, there's nothing you can do about it. Obviously, prior to an election, you can cast your vote for whichever way you want to, but after the results have come out, nothing you can do about it. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. It's gone. It's in the past. Okay. There's plenty of stuff on here. Another thing that we can't do much about is nuclear weapons. Now, of course, anything on here, you can probably find something that you can do about it. All right. Whether that be, you know, you stress about nuclear weapons, nuclear war, and all the rest of it. Directly, as an individual, you probably can't do much, but you could organize a protest. You could organize a sitting. You could organize stuff on social media, whatever you want to do, that can generate interest to obviously help people understand what your worries are. Okay, so it probably is something that you could do on a group level, but not necessarily on an individual level. So whatever it is, now there's a lovely one here just on the left, down at the 8 o'clock position there. Computer malfunction. How many times do we get really irate and stressed over something that just happens? You know, back in the old days, we used to call it the blue screen of death. If you're old enough to remember that, unlucky. But quite often with computer malfunctions, there's no point getting stressed about it. The computer doesn't have any emotions. All right. So don't stress. Just go through your sequence that you do, your fault finding, switching it off, switching it on again, getting advice if you need it, whatever it is, but don't stress over it. Just do what you can. There's absolutely no point worrying about I can't even say that word, objects that don't have a life. So don't stress over it. It has no emotion. Why should you get emotional about it? So there's lots of things on here. These are just things I've just thrown in. One thing I see in there is I put it on there as a bit of a funny, but also a bit serious. My anxiety. Now, when I suffered with anxiety, I spent a lot of time worrying about my anxiety. Go figure. No idea why. And it's certainly something that you might think, well, there's nothing you can do about it, but of course there is. You can decide to do something else. I decided to learn about anxiety. I decided to find out what I could do about anxiety. Meditation, exercise, mindfulness, go for a walk, do lots of different things rather than dwelling on your anxiety. So that is definitely something you can do something about. And that's why you're here. That's why you've shown up today watching this video. So you can learn about anxiety, learn different things to do about how to cope with your anxiety, how to manage it, how to bring it down to an appropriate level so that you can function normally day to day. Now, there are future videos in this course which will explain why we need anxiety. So I'm not going to go into any depth right now, but I understand that we do need a little bit of anxiety, but what we don't want is overwhelming anxiety when it becomes a problem, when it starts affecting your daily functions. Okay, whether that be physically, mentally, or any other kind of daily function. So print off your sheet. Start writing in. You can keep it to hand during the day. Start writing in a few things that you think are bothering you, things that you definitely know are bothering you, things that you know are bothering you, you can't do anything about. There's a couple of really nice ones on there, like gossip, other people's thoughts, other people's opinions. Who cares? Let them get on with it. Don't let it worry you. That's your choice. Okay. And you can just get on with your life. Okay. But things you can do something about, make sure it goes in the center circle. And what we're going to do then, once you've put things in, you can choose something in your center circle. I'm just going to scroll down to see the bottom bit now. I kept that hidden on purpose. Now plan and take action. So if there's something you can do about it, find out what the end goal is, make a plan, take action and get it sorted. Okay. It might be something you need to only do once. It might be something you need to repeat, like for your anxiety. It might be a daily routine that you need to adopt so that you can do something about it. Okay. Just stopping the screen share. So I hope you find that interesting. Please do watch it again if you're not fully sure about what you're supposed to be doing. Print off a sheet, which is going to be in the worksheets, and start filling it out. And then you can print off as many as you need. You can revisit it as the week goes on. You can chuck it away, start again as you get tasks done, whatever you need to do. And hopefully you'll find that your outer circle remains busy, but your inner circle gets less busy. Because as you focus on the things in the inner circle, make a plan and take an action, you start eliminating them. Stuff around the outer circle can stay in there and you don't have to think about it. And as you get a new sheet, you might decide, well, there's no point putting it in that outer circle again because I've stopped worrying about it, which is a great start, great action to do, and a great accomplishment. So hopefully what you'll find as the 6-week course goes on is that you'll get less stuff written down on your sheet. So by the end of it, and you can choose to do this sheet any day, anytime, 2 or 3 sheets a day, 2 or 3 sheets a week, 1 sheet a month, whatever you prefer to do. Okay. So just go with it, fill it out, start it today if you can. And anytime you get a thought pop into your head that you suddenly think, well, actually, I've been worrying about that and hadn't realized it. If you haven't got your sheet available, just pop it into a notes page in your phone or something. Open up your Coach Accountable app, put it in a note in there for yourself for later. And then you can add it to your sheet and decide whether it's something you can do something about, something you can't do anything about. And either way, you can make a plan and take action. Okay. So I look forward to seeing your sheets. So please do email one to me if you can, picture of it, whatever, so I can have a look at it and see what's bothering you and what's not bothering you. All right. And keep in touch. Any problems, anytime, email me, message me through the journal system, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Take care.